Alright guys, let's get right into the fan questions. This first question comes from Ricky Ricardo. He says, when will the Dolphins win the division? This is obviously one of the this is such a tough question to ask. Nobody knows obviously the upcoming. I have a lot of faith in this upcoming season. I think a lot of Dolphins fans do. This is one of the most highly anticipated Dolphins seasons in the I even think the year we went to the playoffs in '08, obviously with Bill Parcells came in, really orchestrated the whole thing, and then he left. I think there's a lot of error, like the leader of the pack, was gone. This, obviously, I think what we've built from the ground up in this organization with Adam Gase, Stephen Ross, Mike Tannenbaum, and Chris Greer, I think it is very sustainable, and I think it's going to be consistent. I don't think there's any power struggle. I don't think there's any of that craziness. I think Adam Gase is one of the best coaches in the NFL. I think he controls the whole organization, which is what I like. He has the most say in a lot of things. And obviously, Mr. Stephen Ross, he gets a lot of credit for that because he really has built a great power. I don't know what you want to call it, but he's built a great Dolphins team. And he's built a great organization. I think we're one of the finest. Like he always says, he wants to be one of the finest organizations in the league, and I think we've achieved that. So again, you can't really predict the future, but what we saw from last season was a team that was so beat up at times. It was ridiculous. Obviously, even when offensive linemen went out, a lot of people bring up the Unicorns and how great we were with them, but some of those games that we won in that 6-game win streak, we didn't have them. Actually, most of them. Obviously, Mike Pouncey was out for almost the whole season. So Adam had a lot. He didn't have a lot to work with. He inherited a Joe Philbin team, and a team that went through 2-3 different GMs basically, and a team that obviously a team with full of young players that hadn't seen a consistent organization since they've been there. And Adam Gase brought that consistency. He brought that leadership. He really has changed the culture of the Miami Dolphins, and it's a winning culture now. Which, as a fan, you get a little emotional talking about it because we've dealt with such ridiculousness over the last 20 years. It's been ridiculous, and now that we have this, it's something to be cherished. And what he accomplished last season with such a beat-up team, a team that wasn't his. Most coaches say, well, they get those the normal excuses. This isn't my team. I didn't build this team. Blah 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 blah. He drafted a great 2016 draft class. If you look back on that draft class, you see Xavier Howard, who obviously didn't play a lot, but Laramie Tunsil, first team, all-rookie team. Obviously, Kenyon Drake helped us win a lot of games last season, whether that be in the field position game or just getting touchdowns in general. He did a lot last year. He changed the culture. He made the team more consistent. He made this team a winning franchise once again, and that's going to be sustained over a long period of time, I think. Patriots to run for their money, and I definitely think they're going to feel our presence, that's for sure. But will we win the division? It's going to be very, very tough. I did not see that Dolphins team making the playoffs, and they did. And what he did, he proved so many people wrong last season. He blew everybody's mind. So I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if we took the division, no. And that would shock the NFL world. That would just completely just shake it. If we beat the Patriots out to get the AFC East Championship. Do you know that's like winning a Super Bowl for us right now. If we did that, the whole NFL would just stand up and cheer for us because we, took down the evil empire. Do you know how awesome that would be? Okay, so the next question comes from Powerful Taylor. At the end of Cameron Wake's career, will he make the Hall of Fame? So you're asking me if Cameron Wake will make the Hall of Fame. I think he's at 80-something sacks right now. He's going to have to get into that 100 club to get into the Hall of Fame, and then even then when he gets there, he's going to have to wait a while. He's not going to be a first ballot guy like, Jason Taylor, who's obviously, I think Jason is in the top 5 or 6 in sacks all time. I know he's definitely in the top 10. So Wake's got to get at least 20 more sacks to be considered, and I think, and then even then it might take him a while. But obviously when you look at Cameron Wake, I think 4 times he's been on an all-pro team, whether that be first team or second team. I think it's even more than that. I might have that wrong. And he's not even played that long. Obviously we got him in 09, I think. Maybe that's wrong, but I'm pretty sure we got him in 09. And then he really didn't. I mean, obviously he came on the scene. He doesn't have a lot of tread on his tires, is what I'm saying. Cameron Wake obviously came into his NFL career early or late, excuse me. Obviously, like people like a Bruce Smith, obviously were drafted out of Tennessee, and then they came onto the scene. and then they were like 20-something years old. Wake was much older than those guys, and his career really started late. So I think he's gonna last a lot longer. Obviously, he's 34 right now, so I think he's got 3 or 4 more good years in him. I know. Hopefully, he's a Dolphin. I don't know much longer he wants to play though. Maybe he gets 2 more seasons, and that's enough to get him into the 100 club. But I think he's got to get into the 100 club before if he's considered to be in the Hall of Fame. This next question comes from Ray Gonzalez. He says, how do you think Julius Thomas will do this season? If injuries aren't a problem, and does he fit the scheme? And do you think Redhead Jones will have another... Redhead Jones? You mean Rashard Jones will have another breakout year like he had in 2015? You really messed me up on the redhead there. Do I think Julius Thomas... Yeah, a lot of people forget how tight ends fit the scheme. Tight ends are such a big part of Adam Gase. I want you to, if you guys can, go back and watch some tape on or just of all the games. If you just go through the whole season, Marquise Gray, and Dominique Jones, he made them look like great tight ends at points in the season. Obviously, Marquise Gray's best play was that deep route against the Steelers. That was a long crapping catch. And then you see all the flat routes that they ran out of bootleg. It was. He really made them look like sustainable tight ends in the NFL. He also did that with Zach Miller, who took off, I think, was a year and a half off of football, comes back, has a Pro Bowl season. Adam Gase, tight ends are very important to Adam Gase. If he had 2 tight ends, this offense would be insane. It would be literally unstoppable. Obviously, he got one with Julius Thomas, and I expect the Dolphins in the later rounds to maybe consider one. But I don't know how that's, because obviously we still have Thomas Durante on the roster, who we took obviously in the last round of the draft last season, who I think has potential to be a really good tight end. Obviously blocking is an issue there, but receiving wise, he's a great player. So there's talent on the roster already, but do I think Julius Thomas? I think Julius Thomas, obviously, the 2 years that he got his big contract was because of Adam Gase. The only reason Julius Thomas is a big name is because of Adam Gase. I think Adam Gase is gonna leave off where he left off with them in Denver. And Ryan Tannehill is gonna have one heck of a year this upcoming season, guys. He's got so many weapons on this team, and it's going to be really fun to watch. Julius Thomas is going to have, I hope he does what he did at Denver. 12 touchdowns back-to-back seasons. That's all I want. I don't care how many yards he has. He's going to have a lot. He had a lot in Jacksonville, and he barely got any touches. So he's going to get a lot more yards this season. He's going to get a lot more touchdowns. But what I want most from Julius Thomas is touchdowns, and he's definitely going to do that. I can't. It gets me excited thinking about Julius Thomas off of a play action, because we ran a lot of play action bootlegs last season. Ryan Tannehill, that's probably his best play, and that's going to help a lot. And Julius Thomas is going to be amazing in this offense, especially with J.J. as the running back. Question is Rashard Jones, will he have another breakout season like he did in 2015? That 2015 year is such a great year because he was the defense. The man played linebacker, he played safety, he sometimes played corner. It was an insane season. A lot of people don't know that. It's like, oh, you got so many tackles because the Dolphins' defense can't tackle. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. But, Rashard Jones, I hate when people say that, because if you're on a bad defense, you get more tackles. That's not true. If you look at Luke Kuechly, he's on one of the greatest defenses, and he gets insane. He broke the record for most tackles in a game. That doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, if you get a tackle, you get a tackle. That's as simple as that. Rashard Jones will have another breakout year. He's already breaking out, so I don't think he's gonna have a breakout year. But I think if he was on a team that year in 2015, if he was on a team that won a lot of games, then he would be recognized as an Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor type. So I think that's more on us as a team than it is Rashard Jones. And I think he'll have he was having a great year before he got hurt last season, obviously with the shoulder issues. So he's just gonna he'll have another year like that for sure, and he's not gonna have to do as much. So that's nice. This next question comes from. This next question comes from Danger Zone. He says, "Do you think Julius Thomas trade was a steal?" I was so critical of the trade at the beginning because obviously the injury history is there, the health issues are there. Now a lot of people. I was very critical of this trade, and because first of all, before we made the trade, we did not have a lot of draft picks. And second of all, we added another hole in the Dolphins roster, which is guard, which we're gonna have to figure out in this draft. Which was not. That's probably the biggest reason I didn't like the trade, was because we added another hole. But I was very critical of the trade, but when you go back and, like I said, you look at the tape and you look at how important tight ends are to Adam Gase's offense. He runs a lot of two tight end sets, especially in Denver, and he didn't do it as much last season. But obviously, tight ends are every play a tight end is running a route in an Adam Gase offense almost every single time. So tight ends are very, very important to Adam Gase, and yeah, I do think Julius Thomas was a steal. I think it's great for Ryan. If you look at all the a lot of people bring this up. Not a lot of people bring this up, but if you look at all the great quarterbacks in the NFL, all of them have great tight ends. Every single one of them. It's insane if you think about it. Just think about it for a second. If you want me to, you got Tom, obviously, with Gronk and Martellus Bennett last season. Even Aaron Rodgers, who didn't have Jared Cook for a lot of the time, but Jared Cook's he was a great tight end. Marcus Mariota with Delaney Walker. The list goes on and on and on and on. Obviously, Dak Prescott with Jason Witten. All great quarterbacks have great tight ends, is basically my point. So it's great. This is going to help out Ryan Tannehill. It's going to take a lot of pressure off of him, and it's going to open the middle of the field up, which is awesome. And again, man, often play action, just watch out. So this next question comes, yes, I do, by the way, just to finish the question, yes, I think it was a steal in the sense that we needed it really bad. And then again, I argued that this draft is really deep with tight ends, but I think the Dolphins might take one in the later rounds anyway. This next question comes from Jay the Boss. He says, "Do you think we should draft Marcus Williams from Utah in the second round if he's available?" Absolutely. Depending again, let me recheck myself here. Marcus Williams, obviously a great player. Super smart. He's probably the smartest safety in the draft. I think he is the smartest safety in the draft. But Marcus Williams out of Utah, great talent. He's got all the athletic ability. He's got the smarts. He's a day one starter in any NFL defense. He's not going to have that big learning curve just because of how smart he is. So he's such a good player, and obviously it would be an amazing pick in the second round if he's available, obviously. But it depends on what we do in the first round. Let's say we take Forrest Lamp in the first round, which is it's looking like that's going to happen. So let's say we take a Forrest Lamp in the first round, right? We need a pass rusher in the second round, and we need a linebacker. So if that might trump the need for safety because Justin Evans is going to be there in the later rounds. He's not as good as Marcus Williams, but yeah, you could make an argument for either one. You might want to draft Tyus Bowser. DeMarcus Walker's there. So I don't know. I would rather take an edge rusher if we took a guard in the first round than I would a safety. So, but yeah, Marcus Williams would be an amazing pick. Powerful Taylor says, by the end of Bill Belichick's career, will he have more wins than Don Shula? Because obviously Don Shula is the number one in wins all time by a head coach. I don't know. Depending on how long Bill plays. I don't know the exact numbers, how long Bill would have to play to coach to surpass Don. I can't remember the exact statistics, but I wouldn't. I mean, that's going to be tough. I don't know. I don't think so, because if you remember, we actually cut Don Shula's career short, which we shouldn't have done, and because obviously Jimmy Johnson came in, and then that kind of I really don't think. I think we had a better chance with Don winning a Super Bowl than we do Jimmy. I think Jimmy's nowhere near the coach that Don is. So let's move on from that. Powerful Taylor, I don't know. The best question is, I don't know. Powerful Taylor says, what do you think about having the bye week right before the Patriots game in their stadium? Week 11 bye week, I think, is awesome. And obviously that game's going to be hyped up a lot because of what Jarvis Landry said. And obviously Julian Edelman loves to talk trash, so it's going to be fun. Both teams are competitive. Both teams are ultra competitive, especially because their coaches are. Obviously, Bill Belichick and Adam Gase, ultra competitors. It's going to be a great game. I'm not worried. I don't care who we play after the bye week. I don't crap and care. And I think the most important thing there is it's a week 11 bye, which is what you need after you're getting ready to go on this run. If you get an early bye, that's awful, I think. An early bye makes no sense because you're just getting into the season. If you're getting like a week 5 bye, that's like the worst bye you could possibly get. The worst bye I have ever seen in an NFL season was the Cleveland Browns when they got the last game of the season was their bye week. And I remember laughing so hard about that because one of my friends is a Cleveland Browns fan, and I was like, dude, that's tough, man. That's tough. So yeah, Yeah, I think week 11 bye week is awesome. I really think because it gets you ready for that playoff run, and you've already built that team chemistry. The bye week's not messing you up, and you know how to win football. You should already know how to win football games with that particular team already. So I like the week 11 bye week. It gives everybody get ready for that. Getting ready for that playoff run. I think it's a great place to put the bye week. So yeah. I like that. I like that, actually. I like that a lot. This next one comes from, this is Patrick. He says, do you think the Lamp is a day one starter at guard? The only reason I ask is because he played for Western Kentucky, so there may be questions about the teams that he played, and he played left tackle at college, not guard. No, I hate when people bring this up. Do you know how many Hall of Famers played in small schools? It's insane. I mean, we could go through the list right now, but I don't want to take up much time. But I think the most notable one is Jerry Rice. Obviously came out of such a small school that he obviously dropped farther than he should have in the draft, obviously. So, no, that doesn't bother me. I don't care about that. As long as you played at a high level, and that doesn't matter to me. So, the Forrest Lamp, I think, is a day one starter. Yeah, I think he's a plug-and-play player. I think he's one of the few players in this draft that is ready to play right now. So yeah, and he's a hard worker, by the way, and he can play all different positions. Obviously, yeah, he did play tackle at college, but he's also played guard there. He also played guard at the Senior Bowl. So yeah, I have no, I don't have any worry about that. This next question comes from, this is Patrick again. He says, do you think that there is a possibility that David Fells or Brandon Doughty takes the second quarterback role from Matt Moore? The greatest chance, unless barring a draft or a free agent from this draft, Brandon Doughty, I think, has the best chance to take that second quarterback role. Brandon Doughty obviously put up records in college football for the most touchdowns, most passing yards in a season. Was it a season or was it all time? I can't remember. FBS. He put up a lot. He broke a lot of FBS records. And Brandon Doughty's got talent. Obviously, there are questions of whether he can push the ball down the field, but I think he has the best chance to take the role from Matt. Obviously, he's had the year under Adam. David has coached. Adam has coached David too, but Brandon, I think Brandon has the best chance to take that role from Matt Moore, but neither of them will, I don't think. Okay, so this is Patrick says, what do the Miami Dolphins do if Mike Pouncey gets hurt again? If Mike Pouncey gets hurt, Anthony Steen, I think, is the best answer there. I think that's why the Dolphins kept him, and I think he performed really, really well last season, and he stepped up in a lot of big games. So yeah, Anthony Steen's the answer there. I'm not barring, again, a draft if we take somebody in the draft. Okay, Neil Max is but I don't think Anthony's getting beat out by anybody in the later rounds, because I think Anthony Steen's a good talent. This next question comes from Neil Mack. He says, why do so many people believe we need another corner? We have a vet who played well last year and 3 young guys. If given the time, they can develop. I'm all for taking a cornerback, but not day 1 or day 2. I think a lot of people, because the draft is so it's so filled with great corners that a lot of people are like, Tre'Davious White, a lot of people bring up Marlon Humphreys, Dolphins fans get enticed by these players because they're great players, but Sidney Jones, Sidney Jones is going to obviously drop, but yeah, I understand why people are wanting another corner because of this draft. They see a lot of talented players in this draft. I think that's one of the reasons. I think another reason is, you bring up the point that most of the talent on this football team are young, unproven players, other than Tony Lippett, who put up 4 interceptions last season. They're mostly unproven, and a lot of Dolphins fans want somebody who's proven, and they want the new sexy thing. I think that's what it is. A lot of people bring up Byron Maxwell and the contract situation, so there's a lot of reasons, but I don't think the Dolphins should take a corner in the first 2 rounds at all. I think that would be dumb. But again, great talent there. There's obviously great talent there. So I see why a lot of people think that. This next one comes from Irene. He or she says, do you think we will see a repeat season from Jay Ajayi? I think he'll, I don't think, see, a lot of people are like, can he take the carries? I think the Dolphins are going to pass a lot more than they did last season. And they're going to do it because the reason they didn't pass as much is because of how ineffective we were. Because we really struggled in the first 4 games, obviously without the offensive line, but we really started to get together, especially when Matt Moore came along, and then Ryan, obviously before he got hurt, throwing 3 touchdowns in 1 half. So Yeah, I mean, the passing game is going to be way more advanced this upcoming season, so I think Jay's going to take less carries, but I think Jay's going to just have just as... I don't think he's going to have 200 yards 3 times, but I think he's going to have a great season. I think he'll have another Pro Bowl season. I think he's going to, score just as many touchdowns, and I think he's just going to have... I don't think he's going to have those games that are like, whoa, but I think he can have a great year. Cypher says, hang on, let's see here. This next question comes from Adrian. He says, if we draft Lamp in the first round and Marcus Williams in the second, isn't that a perfect draft for us? No, because if we take a guard in the first round, we need somebody who can rush the passer, or be a linebacker. So I don't think that's a perfect... I think a lot of people could take that apart. I don't think that's a perfect draft. So no, I don't think it's a perfect draft. But I love those 2 picks. I would be happy with that. I would not be complaining at all. I think both of those players have a really bright future in the NFL. So I like where your head's at. This next one comes from Clayton Yo. He says, what do you think is happening with Damian Williams? I believe he's our best dual threat running back. Jay is our powerhouse. Drake's our speedster. We have a dual threat to screw defenses up with Williams, and pretty good at doing so. Damian Williams will be back in a Dolphins uniform, I think. I don't think he's going anywhere else. So yeah. Okay, this next question comes from Colin Klein. He says, would you rather trade back with the 33rd... This is a great question. He says, would you rather trade back with the 33rd pick for the Browns and pick up Malik McDowell, Jared Davis, and Marcus Williams, or stay put, take Barnett in the first round, and retake McMillan, Raquan McMillan in the second round. Oh, my bad, I messed that up. Raquan McMillan in the second round. So you're asking me, should we trade back to the 33rd pick for the Browns pick and pick up Malik McDowell, Jared Davis, and Marcus Williams? So you're saying move up at 12 to take Malik McDowell, which would be kind of a head scratcher there. I mean, if we get that high up, dude, I think we could take some better players there, man. I mean, Derek Barnett, we could probably take Derek Barnett, Jared Davis, and Marcus Williams in the second round. I think if we traded up to 12, if that's what you're asking me. I think we should take Derek Barnett over Malik McDowell. I know a lot of people have Malik McDowell, but Derek Barnett's a way better player. And if we got Derek Barnett, Jared Davis, and Marcus Williams, one thing I will say about that question is, Colin, is there's a real possibility we trade with Cleveland. I really do believe that they're willing to trade back. I think the quarterbacks are going to fall in this year's draft. Mitchell Trubisky is probably their number 1 quarterback on their board, and I think for sure there is a very, very good chance that we will trade up to 12. Whoever we take there, I don't know, but I like where your head's at. I really do. This next question comes from Cypher. He says, would you still draft Reuben Foster despite the failed drug test? Last thing we need is another Deion Jordan. And how much do you think this will hurt his draft stock? Oh, it's hurt his draft stock already. People have him falling. A lot of people have taken off him of their draft board for a lot of different, obviously personality reasons. Obviously, the straw that broke the camel's back was this drug test. I think obviously the drug test was a huge reason why he's falling, and then obviously the incident at the hospital. A lot of people don't think he's a good leader. He's not vocal enough. So there's a lot of reasons why he's falling. He's definitely going to fall in the 20s. Definitely in the early 20s, and that's going to shake the draft to its core. If he gets past Indianapolis, I think that's the only... I mean, obviously they need a pass rusher, but they also need a corner. So that's a tough question. Yeah, it's definitely hurting his draft stock. Reuben Foster is the best linebacker in this draft by far, talent-wise, and then obviously tape-wise. Jared Davis, I would say, is a very close second. But Reuben Foster, yeah. So would we draft him at 22? I don't think so, which is sad to say, but I just don't... Maybe the Dolphins do. I don't know. Because I've heard so many conflicting reports that the Dolphins are really... or Forrest Lamp's a real consideration there if we don't find a suitable edge rusher at 22. So if Reuben Foster fell to 22, which would be still unlikely, I don't think he's going to fall that far, then would the Dolphins pick him up is a very tough question to answer, and I don't think they would. This next question comes from Cypher. He says, "Are you going to attend any of the home games this year?" I can't really answer that question as of right now. This next question comes from Antoine Jackson. He says, "Do you think Dan Finney will be there? Will be on their board at the second pick when we pick in the second round when we pick?" Yeah, I think he'll be there, and I think he's a great player. I think, obviously, when you look at Indiana, what they love to do is, guess what? They love to run the football. What do the Dolphins like to do? At least last season, we like to run the football, and in Adam Gase's offense, you have to be able to guard. You have to be, and especially at the guard position, the number one thing is you have to run block. And I think pass blocking is very important also on play actions, but most of play action blocking is selling the run. So I don't think Dan Finney's going to... I don't think... I think a lot of people would be mad if we took him in the second round, but I think he's a solid pick there. I really do. I think he's a solid pick there. I think he's a grinder, which is what I like. So, yeah. This next question comes from Ian Good. He says, how good is our O-line with Forrest Lamp? With Forrest Lamp, it's one of the best in the NFL. With Forrest Lamp, we're a top 5 offense. I love the Forrest Lamp pick. Is so intriguing to me. Because if you go back and watch Week 7 of the Week 7 against the Buffalo Bills, and just look at how bad our guards played in that game. They played crap and terrible. I mean, it was bad. Jermon Bushrod got pushed around a lot. They put Shaq Lawson is a problem because he's an inside-outside rusher. So I think Forrest Lamp, especially since we have so many good front sevens in our division, even the Jets have a great front seven, the Bills have a great front seven. The Jets have a great defensive line. I shouldn't say front seven. And then the Bills have a great front seven, and then obviously the Patriots have a great front seven. So it would fit. Also, it would fit a need, and it would fit our division opponent. It would fit us combating our division opponents. So I think it's a great pick, and I think it would answer a lot of questions for the Dolphins' offensive line. And I think he's a durable guy too, so he's going to be there all 16 games. So it's a great pick. So yeah, he makes our offense. He brings our offense to another level. Sean Jacobson says. He says, what is your favorite color, and are you a gamer? This is not pertaining to the Dolphins, but I will answer this as quick as I possibly can. My favorite color is obviously white because of the Dolphins. My second probably would be black. My second favorite color. And he says, are you a gamer? Yes, I am a gamer. I love video games. My favorite 2 games of all time is Metal Gear Solid 5 and Metal Gear Solid 3. So there you go. Nicholas Powell says, what scares you most about the Bucs, their offense or defense? Their defense, not even close. Quan Alexander, Levante David, Vernon Hargraves, Gerald McCoy. They have so many great defensive players, and they're way more consistent than their offense. Their offense is a turnover machine. Sam Coggin says, do you think we'll pass up on Foster with this 22nd overall pick? And also, what's up with Damian Williams? The second overall, yeah, there's a great chance that if we did, I would be upset because of the talent there. And I don't think, just because I don't think it was, he definitely doesn't have a weed problem. And over half of the players last season smoked weed in the first round of the draft. Do you guys remember that report after Larry let me say that again. Over half of the players in last year's draft in the first round, not including the whole draft, smoked weed. Okay, everybody's smoking weed. All right, it's not exclusive to Reuben Foster, and I don't think I don't think Reuben Foster has any problems. If I was the GM of the Dolphins, I would take Reuben Foster just because the talent level is there. He's such a great talent. I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Greer pulled the trigger at 22. So who knows? I think Damian Williams is going to be a Dolphin. This next question comes from Mike Hansen. He says, do you think we should draft a safety in the second round, maybe Marcus Williams? If whatever we do in the first round affects the second round, Marcus Williams, great player. I think yes. I think the Dolphins should consider him. This next question comes from Marcus. He says, if Mike Pouncey gets injured again for at least half of the season, what do you think the draft would be in time to pick another center or find one in free agency? No, but you're asking me, so if Mike Pouncey gets injured again for at least half the season, would you think draft would be the time to pick another center or find one in free agency? If he got hurt again, would we look for another center? Yeah, I think if he missed a whole another season again, obviously Mike, when healthy, Mike's the best player at his position. He's the best center in the NFL. There's not a better communicator. There's not a better leader. He's just so good. And it would be Mike Pouncey is one of our best players, and I think the whole approach that we're taking this upcoming season with practicing him less is going to make his longevity more. I think he's going to play a whole lot more games because of that. Marcus says, actually, he's not even going to practice on, I think, most of the day. So yeah, I think that's gonna help. Mike doesn't need to practice, by the way. Marcus says, I have heard that the Dolphins are very interested in T.J. Watt. I think he would be an amazing pick to play at defensive end because of the bloodline. Obviously, T.J. Watt only has 1 year under his belt as a defensive player. A lot of people don't know that. T.J. Watt obviously last year got his first round as a defensive player. T.J. Watt, there's a lot there that we don't know about him because he didn't have 3 years as a defensive starter. So there's a lot of mystery to TJ Watt. So he could be better than a lot of people think he's going to be, which is very, very interesting. I think that's the most interesting thing about TJ is he had a very productive year at Wisconsin, which is one of the better schools in the NFL. Obviously, they produced players like J.J. Watt, Russell Wilson. So he has a lot of potential. And TJ Watt, I think the most interesting about him is we haven't even seen it all yet. James Parker says, should the Dolphins draft a player at 22 or trade it away for more picks? He also goes on to say that he read an article about the Dolphins trading away for second-round picks. Do you think we should? Should we trade down to get more second-round picks? No. I think first of all, we need to pick whoever. I think the Dolphins have more. I think there's more of a chance of them trading to Cleveland's pick at number 12 than there is them trading down. And I don't think they're going to have to give up a lot to get there because Cleveland has done that in the past, and I would not be surprised if they did it again. So I think that there's more of a chance of the Dolphins trading up in the draft than trading down. Colin says, the next question comes from Mario. He says, Reuben Foster failed a drug test at the Combine. Think he falls to 22? And if so, does Miami take him? I think if he did fall to 22, I think the Dolphins should take him. But I don't think the Dolphins will. I don't know if they're going to be scared away or not. Maybe not. I think Adam Gase is all for it. Adam Gase's motto, maybe they wouldn't. Because Adam Gase's motto in the NFL is I haven't met him. I don't care what he's heard in the past. It's the experiences that I've had with him. Adam Gase always says that. So maybe they would take him. I don't know. That's a very hard question to answer. Overrated Gamer says, do you think we should trade down in the first round? Our Achilles heel was lack of depth, and trading down or out of the first round for right deal would leave our team blooming with young talent. With second round talent, obviously this draft is very, very good depth-wise. I understand that strategy, which would not be a bad strategy, but I think there is potential for an impact player there at 22. Like I love Jared Davis, and I think trading down in the first round. I think Jared Davis' stock has a lot of people bring up the injury history with him, and I don't know. I don't put too much stock in that. I think Jared Davis, to me, I love his leadership, I love his instincts, and he's super athletic. He ran a 4.4. So he's so athletic, and he's a great tackler. He fits with the Dolphins. He's a Dolphin. He's a Finn. So Jared Davis, there's a whole lot. I don't think that I personally like us taking the cream of the crop where we need to take it at 22. I don't think we should get fancy with it and try to go get value players at I don't know. This next question comes from Dan Marino. He says, do you think we should use Jakeem Grant as a wide receiver like Tyreek Hill? Jakeem Grant is so much different from Tyreek Hill. If he had the same talent as Tyreek Hill, I think we would. Obviously, using him, we tried to do that with, obviously we tried to use him in the reverse game, and the play. He just wasn't ready. He wasn't NFL ready. He needs more time to develop. Hopefully he'll meet expectations this upcoming season. But Jakeem Grant had a long. Last time, obviously we've heard from Jakeem Grant last season. He had a long way to grow, and I don't know if he's still there at this point. I'm assuming he is. I don't think Jakeem Grant is the talent that Tyreek Hill is. I think Tyreek Hill is a very special player. This next question comes from Drag Unity. He says, do you think last year it was worth Arian Foster? I think what it did for Jay Ajayi was it gave him somebody to compete with in the offseason, which Jay's a hard worker anyway. He really didn't need that, but Arian Foster obviously pushed Jay to, I think, another level, made him work that extra mile. I think Arian took the job back in preseason. Jay had a terrible preseason, and then I think Jay was winning it all through the training camp and OTAs. I think he was winning it, and then obviously I think he lost the job in preseason. But I think it pushed Jay to I think Adam did though. I think Adam really sent a message to Jay by leaving him home. So I really don't know. I think he pushed Jay a little bit. This next question comes from Lou. He says, who is better, Dak Prescott or Ryan Tannehill? Who is better? I could go into a rant about Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott was drafted to a team that all they needed was a quarterback. He already had the offensive line. Obviously, they drafted Zeke. And then, so their defense is not that great, but their offense is amazing with Des Bryant, Cole Beasley, Terrence Williams, obviously Zach Martin, Ronald Leary last year stepped up. Lyle Collins is a great player who's going to fill in Ronald's role to a T. So if Ryan was drafted to the Dallas Cowboys like Dak was to that specific team, Ryan would have probably won Rookie of the Year too. Lou says, who do you see in the roster right now as a future Hall of Famer? Cameron Wake, for sure. How far are we from becoming like a Patriots team? This question also comes from Lou. I don't know if we want. I mean, I think the Dolphins are the Dolphins. We're our own product. I think we're gonna. I understand what you're saying. If you're saying like I think we're there. I think we have that winning culture already. Lou says, do you think that Sue is still worth all that money? Yes, Sue is worth all that money for sure. EJ says, I mean, what Sue does he's a great leader. I think Adam I think Adam is the first coach Sue has related to and respected, which is some. I mean that's hard to do. So yeah. This next question comes from EJ. He says, "Do you think the kicker is a concern, and should we still take Reuben Foster even with the failed test?" Is AJ? No, I don't know if AJ Franks is a concern. He doesn't have a lot of kick power, but he's pretty accurate. I mean, he was shaky last season. I don't think he's a concern. Obviously, Darren Rizzi's the best special teams coach in the NFL. Reuben Foster, I would take him. That's all I can say. He says, this next question comes from Kenneth. He says, when do you see using Leonte Carrera and Jakeem Grant as a wide receiver and not as a special teamers? Leonte for sure this upcoming season, and I think, you guys want a little nugget here, I think Ryan Switzer from North Carolina, who's one of my favorite players in the draft, is very high on the Dolphins draft board. So in the later rounds, I think the Dolphins take a hard look at him. Darren Rizzi has a lot of say in that draft room, more than most special team coaches do, and I think Ryan Switzer coming in as a return man, and as maybe a slot, an extra body in the receiver core rotation, I think would not be a bad idea, and I think he could replace an old Jakeem Grant. And Leonte Cruz is going to have a huge role this upcoming season. Barrington Author says, do you think Forrest Lamp has Hall of Fame-like potential? Dude, you can't, I hate when, you can't put that on a rookie player. I think he's got Zach Martin potential, which is all-pro potential. So there you go. This next question comes from Tristan Brown. He says, love your videos, bro. Keep up the good work. I have huge hopes for this season. I'm thinking 11-5 or 10-6 if everything goes all right. He says, what do you think former Alabama safety Eddie Jackson, who got injured at the end of the season, I think he's going to fall. Should we pick him up in the 3rd, maybe 5th round? I think I like a lot of more players more than I do Eddie Jackson. So yeah, I like Justin Evans a little bit more, and yeah, I also have high hopes for this Dolphins team. Not high hopes, I have confidence in this Dolphins team. This next question comes from Hernandez. He says, do you think the Dolphins are going to draft Jonathan Allen or Foster if they fall at number 22? Yes, if Jonathan Allen is there at number 22, you bet your balls that we're taking Jonathan Allen. Damian Pierce says, because it's not a huge need, who's at tight end Miami should get with our 5th round pick? Oh man, I'm drawing a blank on this one. I have my tight end list. I mean, I can never say his name, but the tight end from Clemson probably is in that conversation. But I don't think that's gonna happen. Maybe it does. I can't remember his name right now. This next question comes from Randolph. This next question comes from Chris. He says, should we get David Njoku? No, I don't think. I mean, it's a great idea. It's a nice idea, but I don't think so. I mean, 2 tight ends of Julius Thomason and Njoku's talent would be insane in an Adam Gase offense, but I don't know about that. Randolph says, what would be one position you improve to fix the run-stopping issues? Defensive tackle, defensive end, or linebacker? To improve the run-stopping issues, linebacker all the way. Jordan Phillips, inconsistent. Sue's great. The linebacker unit needs to improve more than any other unit on the defense, by far. Antoine Jackson says, do you think the Dolphins should consider signing a defensive tackle after the draft? I think Jonathan Hankins is still available. I don't think the Dolphins will do that. I think they're done with that. Jake Harris says, will the Reuben Foster situation turn out more like Deion Jordan or Laramie Tunsil? The Reuben Foster situation? Laramie Tunsil for sure. Do you think this next question comes from that question from Jake Harris? This next question comes from Lemon. He says, do you think the Dolphins will trade for Richard Sherman? No, I don't think that's happening. The Gamer says, do you think Hassan Reddick will be available at 22? If he gets past the Colts, absolutely. I think Hassan Reddick, he's my favorite player in the draft, and I love him to death. I think he's Von Miller-like. I mean, obviously he was a walk-on corner to Temple. He's a great player. He's uber athletic, great coverage skills. He could be a great strong side linebacker, great rusher on third down, great player. Jefferson says, "Do you think we can make the conference championship this year?" That's, dude. I'm sure that they want to. And I just listen, man. Consistency is all I want, and I think this Dolphins team is going to shake the NFL world a little bit. I think you're going to shock the world. Danger Zone says, "Do you think we have the most dynamic receiving core in football? P.S. Love the channel." Yes, absolutely. Danger Zone says, "Do you think we have the most dynamic receiving?" Yes, we do. Just read the same thing. The Gamer says, what do you think about this 3-round mock draft? First round we take Tack McKinley from UCLA. Second round we take Dan Finney, and third round we take Sidney Jones. I think that's a really good draft right there. He says, "Do you think we should get Forrest Lamp with the pick 22 or over Reddick?" That's a great question, man. I think Forrest Lamp, even though I love Hassan Reddick to death, in my opinion, I would take Reddick, but I think what the smartest thing to do would take Lamp. Either way, you're getting a great player. Do you think Reuben Foster will fall to the Dolphins? No. And if he did, I don't think the Dolphins are picking him. Maybe they do, and I hope they do. That is it, guys. That was your Dolphins fan Q&A. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was amazing. Some great questions in there. And I am Skaggs1383. This is almost 40-minute bit. Hey man, you guys gotta look at this as a podcast at this point, because we get more questions every single week. And you guys know me. You can't, if you ask me, hey, is Tannehill? I have to break it down. I got to break it down for you guys. I got to go into stats. I got to go into why this guy probably has more success, more than this guy. You know how I have to do it. And yeah, so that's gonna be it, guys. This was a great Q&A, and I'll see you guys in the next one.